let's see, that's our day in history. Let's see, special birthdays for today. Andrew Gordon has a June 26th, Andrew Gordon's birthday. And we have an anniversary, Tim and Carolyn Ballas, June 27th. They were married on June 27th, 2010. So 10 years for them. Happy anniversary to them. And also my daughter Amanda is going to be turning 28 years old on Friday. So I had to shout out to her for that.
Wow.
Okay, humor of the day, Dr. Conkle. Make us laugh.
Have about a half a dozen observations here to throw at you. The sport of choice for the urban poor is basketball. The sport of choice for maintenance level employees is bowling. The sport of choice for frontline workers is football. The sport of choice for supervisors is baseball. The sport of choice for middle management is tennis. And the sport of choice for corporate executives and officers is golf. Now the facts here are the higher you go in the corporate structure, the smaller the balls you play with become. The second fact is there must be a boatload of people in Washington playing marbles.
They're not doing a lot of other stuff.
Right. That's good. That's good. All right, happy dollars. Does anybody have some happy dollars they want to throw out to us?
Anyone have a happy dollar? Okay, nobody wants to talk and nobody wants to be happy.
Well,
We got Safety Town moving forward on repairs.
excellent. That certainly is a happy dollar. Yep, we're moving forward with that. We got some good plans in place, and we'll keep everyone posted as we move through that. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave. As I mentioned, it's my daughter's 28th birthday, so that's definitely a happy dollar. Hope to take her boating over the weekend. We'll see if the weather cooperates. Anybody else?
Yeah, 51 years ago, I happily reported U.S. Army induction station in Akron with a smile on my face.
Wow. Did you have a smile when you left?
51 years ago. Well, I had a smile when I left too.
I bet you did.
I lived.
Well, thank you for your service. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, I would like to introduce our speaker for today. Today we have Kimberly Barman. She is the mother of 20-year-old Emily Cooley, whose life was taken unfortunately, by a drug overdose on January 5th, 2017. Together with Emily's 5 siblings, Kim has founded a nonprofit organization known as M's Angels. The goal is to raise awareness through prevention, education to directly assist those in active addiction and recovery, and to educate the loved ones of those affected. Since losing Emily, Ms. Barman chose to educate herself to better understand, help, and serve those struggling with mental health and/or substance use in hopes of sparing other parents her reality. Currently, she is licensed through the state of Ohio as a CDCA, which is a chemical dependency counselor assistant phase 2, through the Addictions Academy as a nationally certified advanced clinical intervention professional, as well as a level 2 nationally certified recovery coach. And she has completed coursework, including that of a wraparound facilitator through the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Kimberly has produced a short documentary of Emily's life, Gone Too Soon, the story of Emily Cooley, which premiered and was awarded Best Documentary at the Art of Recovery Film and Festival in 2018. The documentary can be viewed on YouTube. She and her nonprofits have also been featured in several television news stories, most recently on Fox 8 News. Everyone join me in welcoming Kimberly Barman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a little background. I'm Emily. She's the youngest of my 6 children. We're a blended family. Very involved in school and her activities. Paige actually was involved in drama club at the high school with her, as well as a youth theater production or program, I'm sorry, that they have at our local college. I didn't realize how far off path Emily had gone so young until I lost her, and I was able to go back and read through her journals. And there I discovered she started going off track in middle school. I do go in and speak to middle schools also and show her documentary in hopes of educating them on just the raw reality of this and how quickly things can go very, very wrong. To educate them on life is really about the choices you make. And I want them to be educated on making those choices ahead of time so they know what they're getting into. Emily went off track in middle school, first started drinking, then started experimenting with marijuana. Her sophomore year in high school, she was involved in a pretty bad car accident. The side of her vehicle was T-boned at 55 miles an hour by another vehicle. That sent her into the hospital, and with that came her first prescription of painkillers. After that, Emily, I now know, started experimenting with pills. And then her senior year of high school, she started using heroin. Never did I ever imagine that my baby girl would put herself in that position to even, try something so dangerous. She was finally able to come to me in August after she graduated high school, and she let me know that she needed help. I had known all this time something was going on. She had been missing school. That was so unlike her. Her friends changed. She had always been employed. She started missing work, just things that weren't normal. But as a mom, I was like, not my kid. I never would have imagined that this is what we were going to end up dealing with. Emily came to me then in August. She was on a plane the next day to Florida. At that time, we didn't have any treatment resources in this area. The closest were in Cleveland or Toledo. We're right in the middle here. And there was about a week-long waiting period to get any kind of help either. She was in and out of treatment for the next year and a half in Florida. January of 2016, I got a call. Emily had actually overdosed and died, and they were thankfully able to resuscitate her then. But from her brain shutting down and then starting back up again, back in that sophomore year of high school, and she concussion, brain injuries then, and overdosing, her brain restarting again brought forth all that activity again. So we spent then the next 2 weeks in an intensive care unit in Florida where she was having 12 to 15 seizures a day. During that time is when Emily was able to express to me what had been happening while she was in treatment. I had never dealt with treatment before. As a parent, this was all brand new to me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know whose advice to take, where to send her to actually get help. I was relying on information from a lot of strangers. And, Emily expressed to me quite a few bad situations that she had ended up in. There was a lot of good help in Florida, but there were also a lot of very shady treatment centers. So I started learning then. She came home in November of 2016. I had gave her some rules. You know, she had to have 30 days of clean time. And she also had to be started on a maintenance medication called Vivitrol, which is an alcohol and opiate blocker. There's no use of abuse or no chance of abuse with it. Helps with cravings. She kept overdosing down there, in and out of treatment centers. So I brought her home November 30th of 2016, and coming back to this area, back to familiar friends, places again. I now know that she relapsed on January 1st at a New Year's Eve party. And then January 5th, she became my angel. Emily and I had always talked that we wanted to help others together. She was always such a social young lady and always trying to help her friends, you know, sometimes at her own expense. And when I lost Emily, I knew I still needed to carry on with that plan. And I knew that I had learned so much as a mom then, because when we first started this, I didn't understand addiction. I didn't understand how, when you're having negative consequences happen to you constantly, how or why would you continue to keep using these substances that bring about these negative consequences? That was just totally a foreign concept to me. Now I've learned, though, that what's really going on in almost all of the people I talk with is there's an underlying mental health condition going on. The substances are being used to numb themselves from having to feel the emotions or the feelings that these underlying mental health conditions bring about. When I talk with the kids in middle school and I speak with parents. So Emily was going out to parties when she was in middle school, sneaking out of the house. I didn't know about it. Something bad happened to her at one of these parties. Emily never came to me and told me about what happened at one of these parties because she was scared that I was going to be upset with her for being at the party to begin with, which I probably would have been. But now then I've learned, you know, I missed that entire opportunity to be able to get her help to deal with the emotions that she was experiencing from that traumatic, bad incident that happened to her. So they start seeking out the substances, and the substances they seem to take over then. I guess in experiencing this, how I was able to understand it myself is that I go into work one day and I have an argument with you, Steve. You know, we aren't agreeing on something, and I'm so upset about it that after work I want to take the edge off. You know, I need to relax from this, so I go and have a drink. Well, if I come back into work the next day and Steve, you and I haven't talked about the incident that happened the day before that I was so stressed out about, and felt I needed relief from, well, then when I leave work the next day, am I going to feel that I need to go out and take the stress off again? COVID also has brought about, you know, a different dynamic to this world also. And a lot of more mental health issues are becoming more prevalent, I see, just because we are spending more time at home. We're doing the Zoom meetings rather than face-to-face interaction with people. I've noticed a lot of my phone's been ringing constantly, which is good. I'm nervous, I'm sorry. I guess I want to finish with just letting you know that, you know, sometimes when people have a bad problem, they go to substances to try to resolve those problems, and then stigma comes about and they're afraid to speak up because you don't want to be judged by society. Parents don't speak up because we don't want to be judged. People think, or parents think that we did something wrong. It must have been something I did. You know, why did my child turn to substances? Why didn't they turn to me? And then I feel with the older adults, it's just, we've learned to keep it a secret longer, and we know how to manipulate better. And and if you suspect or even have an inkling that someone may be dealing with a mental health issue or may have turned to substances, I encourage you to speak up. You know, I tell the kids a lot of times, and adults, I find us as well, we don't speak up because we're afraid to be criticized ourselves, and we don't want someone to try to pass judgment on us, I guess. If we speak up and say something, then a lot of times with the younger kids, they get shunned. They're not invited into their circle of friends then, and it's just more about speaking up, doing the right thing. And I'm sorry, I'm very nervous.
No need to be.
On with my speech, but then I started speaking from the heart. But we're just in some very trying times right now. If you have someone that you're concerned about, when you reach out, make sure that the person that you reach out to is educated in being able to help you and direct you in the right direction. I also feel that it's good for the entire family to be involved also. It's not going to go anywhere if we all don't team up together and work as a team. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Well, yeah, you know what, Kim, thank you very much. This is such a touchy subject, and it's so difficult. I give you so much credit for what you've done instead of sitting back and mourning all this time. You took the bull by the horns, and you tried to find out why, and you're out there helping other people, and I give you so much credit for that. This drug addiction thing out in the world today, it's gotten so bad. I mean, Casey can tell you, I'm sure he sees it in the high school. I've seen it in some of my family. These painkillers is just such a bad situation out there, and it's and I give you credit for being a soldier out there fighting it, because we all need help, and telling your story is very brave, and we appreciate it. I think everybody does. And with that being said, does anybody else have any questions for Kim? And I'm sure you do. Howard?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Kim, you say watch for the signs. When you're dealing with a teenager, you can have signs without signs, right? So how do you tell
So a lot of times with the kids, I say they start out as younger, having extracurricular activities that they're involved in. And those extracurricular activities are giving them a natural high. When they start to subside and back away from those activities that you know were giving them that natural high is when you really need to pay attention, because that natural high is then almost always being replaced by a chemical high.
them? Okay,
Yeah.
very good, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, I got a question. Kim, tell us about M's Angels and what it does and what's the purpose of it?
The purpose is just to be there for everyone, for those suffering and for their family members. We provide education in the schools. I daily speak with people who are struggling and their families. We help to place people in detox centers and treatment centers across the US. And when we help place people also, there are so many people that will help you get in the door to a detox or treatment center, and then it's so long, good luck. These people aren't succeeding then, you know, I call them my kids, you know, and they look at me as a mom figure, but I'm able to be real with them, you know, and they understand where I'm coming from and that I really do care. Yeah, so so that's a big purpose. We have this year we just were able to start a scholarship, and we gave a scholarship out to an Edison High School senior that had been that had been affected by substance use. We go into detox centers and treatment centers and speak to the clients, present our story there. Yeah, I encourage the clients in the centers also to, just with everyone, that we need to find a purpose. When people have a purpose, they just seem so much more alive, you know, and they have self-worth then.
So Kim, are you strictly in the Milan, Ohio area, or do you have other branches in other parts of the state?
No, so we are strictly in Milan, but I work throughout the entire US.
I have a question. Kim, how can we help you? What can we do?
I mean, as a society, we just need to speak up. Less judgment. If you suspect someone is having problems and you want to reach out to them or say something, I always encourage people to do it with compassion and kindness. And you can just let me know if there's someone that I need to reach out to. Sometimes it just takes the kindness and compassion of a stranger who gets it to make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. We're pretty quiet today.
Yeah.
I have a question, Kim. I have friends of our family that went through the struggle of drug abuse, and eventually they lost their son. And it's been 1 year now, and the family's still struggling. Do you have any recommendations that I could pass forward to them on how to deal with this loss?
So what I always say to parents is, you know, I still don't understand exactly why God needed my baby girl. But I always know that he has an ultimate plan, and you know, that he must need them for some greater reason. You know, I do believe that Emily has served a great purpose. Now she saved many lives, and I encourage them to, you know, not hold in their emotions, to speak. We go through a lot of different emotions, and we can go through them repeatedly. Also, there's no, you know, definition on how we grieve. We're not supposed to have to bury our children. I encourage them to talk. There are groups out there also for parents who are grieving. I would encourage them to join one of those groups. If I can provide you one of those links if you'd like, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk with them also. But it's a lot of times we want to place blame on ourselves too, and you know, we can't do that. We can't. Yeah, just be a good friend, be compassionate, let them talk. Yeah.
Okay, well, if I can, if anybody wants Kim's email address, contact me and I'll forward it on to Kim. Okay.
Definitely.
Does anybody else have any more questions for Kim? Okay. Well, one thing I can tell you, Kim, is out of all this that you went through, God has acquired a very strong soldier. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're a good person, and you're doing a great need that is needed in the community right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, with that being said, just a couple announcements. You know, every week I say, you know, please donate to the Emergency Assistance Center. Please get some fruit to them for their new freezer. Big thing is installation of officers is next Tuesday. Peggy's, we're still waiting on the pins, but once Peggy gets the pins, she's going to forward them on to you. Her or Debbie will. I know they're supposed to come to Peggy, so we'll get those. Once you get your pins, plan on someone being with you next Tuesday for the installation, so you have somebody to pin it on for you. That'll be next Tuesday at noon. I think we're going to take July 7th off. That's the weekend after the 4th of July, because some of you will probably be having an extended vacation weekend. And July 14th, Dr. Stephanie A. Ehrlich, a Rotary International Director, will be speaking with us on July 14th, that following Tuesday. So with that being said, does anybody have anything else to add?
I have a question, Steve. This is Tony.
Yes, Tony.
I am interested in the shoebox project. So,
Okay.
so when does it start? Like, how can I get my information and get started?
Yep, and I'm glad you brought that up, Tony. We brought that up at our board meeting, and we did some research on that. We should have more information come July. Probably the first or second week of July, we should be getting our shoe boxes. What we did is we ordered 20 of them this year. Last year we did 10, and we filled them up no problem. So we figured our club should have no problem doing 20 shoe boxes this year. So
Okay.
once we get those in, we'll bring it up at the meeting, or I'll just send an email out to everybody and see who wants to do a shoebox on their own, or if a couple of people want to team up and do one, but we're getting 20 of them. So
Okay.
should have some information right after the 4th on that, Tony.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
a reminder that we talked about the Veterans Memorial Parkway. They haven't confirmed yet, but we're looking at the 7th, 8th, and 9th in the evening to do grading. They're putting the sidewalks in, and they'll be doing the finished grading, and we're looking for volunteers from Rotarians to social distance at this project and grab a rake and level the ground.
Thank you, Dave. Yep, 7th, 8th, and 9th, we'll be looking for volunteers, and basically we'll just be doing a little bit of landscape and make it look nice around the new concrete. So we will remind everybody of that also as it gets closer.
And what
Thanks,
time
Dave.
is, what time?
It'll most likely be in the evening, after 5 o'clock. It doesn't get dark till 9, so we figure this way people don't have to leave work or anything. So it'll be just a couple hours in the evening, and you will see how much we get done. It may only take 2 days. We'll see. So we'll advise everyone as we get closer. Anything else? Okay, with that being said, if everyone could
Hold on,
join
I want to
me-
add something. Sorry, I had to run.
No
I
problem,
just want to
Paige.
say thanks to Kim for joining us today. For those of you who didn't know, her daughter Emily and I went to high school together and we're in band. So Emily's loss is very near and dear to me. So I'm glad that Kim got to speak, and never feel hesitant to reach out to her. She's a great asset to our community and our state for sure.
And I certainly can second that, Paige. Thank you so much, Kim, for coming to talk to us on the sensitive subject, because it's I can see why a lot of people are reaching out to you, because it is such a big problem in our community right now. So again, thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, with that being said, if everybody could join me in our four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all
Fair to all
concerned?
concerned.
Third, will it build goodwill
Goodwill and
and
better
friendship?
friendships.
Fourth,
Fourth,
will
will
it
be
be beneficial
beneficial to all concerned.
With that being said, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for joining us, and please do not forget about our installation. It's going to be a good time. We're going to make it as fun as possible, and it's nice to celebrate the outgoing officers and celebrate the incoming officers. So please try and join us next Tuesday.
What time is-
Thank you.